Hello and welcome to Cooking the Books with Heather. Today we are working from Deep Run Roots, Vivian Howard's cookbook, and we are making party magnet. So, probably, anyway. It is a cheese ball. So, let me put this down real quick. We often make a cheese ball around Christmas time for New Year's. They freeze very well, so you can make a large batch, make some small ones. That's what we usually do. I think the one we usually make is a family recipe from my husband's family. It's very different than this, but it makes 2 large cheese balls, but we usually make 4 smaller cheese balls because we can't eat the whole one in one night. But we'll have it for New Year's Eve. I mentioned before that we will often have sort of a tray of snacks, cheese and crackers and cheese ball and pecans and maybe some fruit and chips and dips and whatever. And one of the things we almost always have is a cheese ball. So we're going to make this now, and hopefully we'll have it on New Year's Eve as well. We'll see how we like this one compared to our usual recipe. If you heard me complaining about grating onions, that other cheese ball recipe is why I am usually grating onions. It's the only other recipe that I can remember that I've ever made where I had to grate onions. I think it's the worst thing ever. Anyway, we don't have to do that for this one. So I've got all my ingredients. Everything, all of your cheeses and everything have to be sort of at room temperature. She says to take them out 30 minutes before you're ready to make it. I've had them out for a while. It's chilly, whatever, it's fine. Starts with butter. And we're gonna put this together in the mixer with a paddle attachment. So we've got butter, we've got some cream cheese. Now her measurements are in quarter cups or in cup measurements. I'm mostly weighed out my things, so I hope that cups to ounces are relatively the same. And actually, that wasn't cream cheese, that was goat cheese, because this is cream cheese. There's a little bit more cream cheese in it than the goat cheese. So it's a fresh goat cheese, and this is blue cheese. She says to use a good quality blue cheese. I don't know how good this is. I think I got a Boar's Head brand. I agonized over it at the grocery store. I did not go to a specialty cheese shop or anything. She says she likes Maytag, so if you can find that, fine. But I found what seemed like the best blue cheese I could find at my grocery store. These are dates. This is about 3 dates that I chopped up. She says, so chopped dates. She says not to use the kind that come pre-chopped with sugar on them. So these are just dates. Took the pit out, chopped them up as much as I could, and they're very sweet as is, so you don't really need any extra sweetener. You usually find those in the produce section of the grocery store, at least in all of the grocery stores that I have been in. If they have them, that's where they have them. This is some chopped green onion, both the white and the green part. And you just put all of this in and mix it up. So the only other thing we have to add in here is some salt. You don't need a whole lot of salt because cheese is relatively salty. And then hot sauce. I had to use quite a lot of hot sauce for something, so I had to buy a very large bottle. So I still have a lot of this left, so I'm going to use this. There we go. And now we're just going to mix this together until it comes together. Let's see what she says. Yep. Just paddle it up until it all just becomes one big happy family. All right. I'm going to scrape it down a little bit just to make sure I get everything mixed up well. Even though everything was pretty much room temperature, it's still, coming together pretty well. It's not very well, I mean, it's creamy, but it's not super loose like I might have expected, given that it's, you know, goat cheese and cream cheese and all of that, you know, can be pretty, that's tasty. That can be relatively, can get kind of loose at room temperature. One more time. So this is definitely more sort of homogeneous and creamy and sticky and everything that she says to expect. So I'm going to call this done. And now, before you form it into a ball, because at this point you're looking and you're wondering how you're supposed to form this into a cheese ball, we're going to put this in the refrigerator for a little while. She says 15 minutes. I'm going to put it in there for at least 15 minutes. We'll see how long it takes me to prepare the coatings. Usually you roll this in pecans, chopped up pecans, which is, you know, our usual thing. For her, she wants you to roll them in her salt and butter roasted pecans, which we have already made and should already be published on the site. And I'll link it down below. That's a super simple recipe all by itself. And all right, that's good enough. So yeah, I'm gonna scoop it sort of a little bit together so that while it's still scoopable, so it's not gonna stick to the edges, so that when it gets cold, chillier and everything, it's sort of easier to handle then to make it into a ball. Because right now, you know, you can tell you wouldn't want to be trying to form that into a ball because it just won't work. But that is it for the cheese ball part, for the mixture. Now I'm gonna get my coatings ready. So I have my cooled salt and butter roasted pecans that I'm just going to chop up for the outside of the cheese ball. So I've got these dishes because we're going to, I'm going to make a mess. No, we're going to roll the cheese ball in this and then some chopped parsley. That's why I have two dishes here. So there we go. And I know that this will be a good way to roll them. Because like I said, I've made them before. You cannot eat them. So I'm not gonna bother cleaning off my board because these are gonna go on directly after the nuts anyway, but I've got some washed, rinsed and dried as much as I can, Italian parsley, so flat leaf parsley. And I'm just going to chop this up pretty finely. Add number. Okay. So I've got my Italian parsley all chopped up, and I'm just gonna put it in this bowl. This is way more than it calls for, but I'm not worried about that. And whatever, yeah. There we go. So now we're just gonna wait a few more minutes, a little while, until the cheese has hardened up a little bit so that we can make a nice ball, and then we're going to come back and roll it in these things, and then it'll be done. So as you can tell, maybe I completely forgot that I still had to roll this cheese ball. So it's been in the refrigerator for, oh, I don't know, hours. We watched a whole Star Wars movie and had dinner and a bunch of other things. So yeah, I took it out just a few minutes ago. It's fine. It'll be fine. And I'm glad that I scraped it all together because it's holding together well, and really all I have to do is make it round and, oh, it's kind of crumbling apart. So, and make it a ball. So that's what I'm gonna do now. And yeah, I'll just lay that there. I've got some plastic wrap laid out to roll it in when I'm done. I'm gonna get it all over my hands, but that's okay. I don't mind eating it off my hands later. I let my husband taste the mixture on the spatula when we were done last time, and yeah, as I thought when I was making this, that there's a large, even though there's a lot of blue cheese in this, there's also a lot of goat cheese in this, which is not his favorite. So I'm not sure he's gonna love it, but oh well. All right, so I've made it sort of roughly round. Doesn't have to be beautiful because we're gonna coat it. So I'm gonna kind of coat it in these pecans, which there aren't enough to completely coat it. So I'm just gonna try and get some, and then the rest is gonna be the parsley. So hers is not completely coated in the picture either, so that makes me feel better because there's just not enough of this to completely coat the whole thing. All right, so there's that. And that's good enough. And now we're gonna sort of get some parsley on it. And hopefully not all of the pecans will fall off of it. I've got way more parsley than she said, so, you know, that'll cover up a bunch of sins. All right, so I'm gonna call that good, and I'm going to wash my hands so I can wrap this up. We're not gonna serve this right now, obviously, because we're about to go to bed. But let me wash my hands, wrap it up, and I'll let you know what we're gonna do next. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up just in the plastic wrap that I had set out here, and you can store this in the refrigerator for, I don't know, like a week or so if you want. But you can put it in the freezer for at least a month or two, and it will be perfectly fine. But you want to bring this up to room temperature, or take it out at least 30 minutes from the refrigerator before you want to serve it, because you do want it to get sort of spreadable, right? You want it to be able to put your knife in and spread it and not be super hard. To put it on crackers. Now she says this is a place where you use a plain cracker. So something without lots of seeds and flavors and garlic and all. You just want to taste the cheese ball, so you'll use a plain cracker. We'll probably use Ritz crackers or something like that, if they stand up to the cheese ball. Sometimes, depending on how cold or how tough it is, some crackers will crumble. So you also want a cracker that's relatively sturdy for that. But that is it. I'm going to put this in the refrigerator, and we are going to try it another day, and I'll show you how it looks, and we'll let you know how we like it. On this episode of Cooking the Books with Heather, you watched me make the Party Magnet Cheese Ball from Deep Run Roots, Vivian Howard's cookbook. And as I said, I was a little concerned as to whether my husband would like it, but we've made it twice now. We made it before New Year's Eve, and then we made it for New Year's Eve when we took it to a friend's house. Wasn't sure my husband was going to like it because it does have quite a bit of goat cheese in it, and he is really not a fan of goat cheese. But after the first day or so, the goat cheese flavor for him mellowed out a lot. He says 3 days, but it mellowed out a lot and was really more of the blue cheese flavor took over at that point. So if you don't like goat cheese, I would suggest using a milder goat cheese and letting it mellow for a little while in the refrigerator or even in the freezer for a while before you use it. But everybody really enjoyed it. The pecans that are on top are always great. Let it come up to room temperature, so it'll be a little bit more spreadable on your crackers or whatever you eat it on. But yeah, really great idea for any party. Let's see, what was I going to say? Oh, like if you're having an Academy Awards party or a Super Bowl party, and you're going to have a bunch of people around and you want to have a cheese ball, cheese spread. It's a great option, and it's super easy. As long as you have some sort of mixer, doesn't have to be a stand mixer. You could definitely use a hand mixer for this. As long as you bring everything up to room temperature, mix this together very easily. Nothing was really hard to find. Use whatever kind of blue cheese you can find and it will be delicious. So thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed this, watching me cook this, come on back and hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and come back to watch me cook something else.